As a Scrum Master, what is your understanding of capacity and velocity? And what's the difference between the two? How have you been able to use your capacity and your velocity to help your team be effective or become performant? All right. In this video, we are going to clarify the misconception that always happen between capacity and velocity and how you can easily understand which is which at what particular point. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's do some learning for today. All right. So just some quick housekeeping. For those who are interested in safe certification training this weekend, we have a safe certification training. Simply send me a text. I'm interested. We have some really good discount. For release train engineer training, we also running a release train engineer a certification class first weekend of March. Let me know. If you've been struggling on how to get a Scrum Master job, reach out. We have a powerful system that will help you close the gap in less than no time. But without wasting time, let's get into the matter of the day. So the first difference before we get into talking about the definition is that when we talk about capacity as applicable in Scrum or in Agile, we're talking about people. We're talking about the manpower. When we're talking about velocity, always think about velocity as what? So capacity is the number of people or is the effort you need to complete the work, which is the people. So when you're talking about capacity, what's your capacity? We're talking about, okay, we have 6 developers and all of them available full-time, right? This is our capacity. We have 6 developers available full-time. Now, when we talk about velocity, we say, how much work can this 6 developer complete within a defined period? And in Scrum, we have a defined period of 2 weeks, right? So capacity, we're talking about people. What is your capacity? I have 5 developer and 1 tester standby. What capacity do you have? Now we'll talk about velocity. What is your velocity? Simply means how much work can you complete? So when we talk about a new team in Scrum, let's talk about a new team in Scrum. So new team. Now we have a default of every team member who has full capacity. Scrum recommend we assign them 8 story points, right? 8 story points. Now you will ask me, what if the estimation is in hours? It means we consider 40 hours, right? Which is the amount of period they're working in a week. And then we understand that a sprint contains 10 working days. So averagely, they are allocated 8 story point in 10 working days. So it means that if we have 16 members with full capacity, every one of them is going to accept 8 story point, and means that we're expecting them to get a capacity of what? 48, to get a velocity of 48. What is the capacity? The capacity is 16 members with full capacity. All right. But in reality, we advise that we don't have to plan out all our capacity. So we always need to leave between 10 to 20% for what? For unforeseen. So if I take out, let's say 10% from this, 10% is going to be 4.8, which means that if this was my first sprint, I should be planning around 44.4% of story point. I should plan around there. Now, one thing you also need to understand is that when we talk about planning and story pointing, it's not something which is very rigid. It doesn't mean that if we have a velocity of, let's say, 44, we cannot plan more or below. This is just a guide that gives you an idea of how to help your team. All right. So the key difference I want you to take home to today is that when you talk about capacity, know about the people available. So my capacity for these 60 members can be 2 front-end developer, 2 front-end. I can have 2 back-end developer. I can have 1 tester in my team. I can have 1 DevOps engineer in my team. So this make it full capacity. Now, the reason why your capacity is important is because it helps you to know how to plan your work. Let's say you have 2 developers, you can 2 front-end developer. It means that you cannot plan back-end work more than the number of story points these people here can take. You cannot plan too much work on the front end. Let's say, for instance, we had 3 front end, right? And then 2 back end. Let's assume that there was no QA because we have a central system. And then we have 1 DevOps engineer. You know that, okay, we are going to plan more work on the back end when we're prioritizing our story. So that's how our capacity help us to be able to effectively plan. Now, velocity can fluctuate based on capacity. Let's say that we have 16 members, right? And all of them are not available. We have people who are taking vacation. Let's say the DevOps engineer is taking 3 days within the next 2 weeks. Now we go to our full capacity, which was supposed to be what? Which was supposed to be, let's say, 48. After taking out our buffer, we have 44. Now we go there and we subtract 3 story points, right? We subtract 3 story points because he is going to be absent for 3 days. Now that's going to bring us to 41. Now this 41 become our new guideline to help us understand the amount of work that we're going to do. Right. So it doesn't have to be this exact number. So if you work in a safe environment, what is going to happen is that in a safe environment, we do our capacity planning for the entire PI, which means that if your team is planning, let's say, for the next 6 iteration, you need to go on PI 1, PI 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6. Now, this is going to be the IP iteration, innovation and planning. So no work is going to be planned here. So you go on each of these PI, you have your team 1, team member 2, team member 3, team member 4, team member 5, team member 6. And you look at their availability. This one may be they're available full-time. They're not taking any vacation throughout. This one, they're taking 2 days off here, so they only have 6. This one, they're taking 1 day off here, 7. They're available full-time here. All of this week, they're taking about 6 days off. And then this, they're taking... So this helps you to understand what to calculate. This is called a capacity planning sheet. It just simply means that you look at all the team members and you figure out their velocity so that you only plan work that they can commit. As simple as that. I hope I did not confuse you, but that's the key when we're talking about capacity and velocity. Always understand that when you hear the word capacity, it's about people, the people and their availability to do the work. When you hear about velocity, is the work the people can commit to. And the work is always estimated in story pointing. In the environment where it's estimated in hours, you can use hours. Thank you for joining us. And if you are interested in joining our SAFE certification training this weekend, there is a SAFE certification training and we have some really, really good discount. Simply send me a text and I'm going to get you in there.